Have you ever wondered why there are just so many different spiritual paths in the world?
Hmm.
I mean, each seems to have its own unique ideas about the divine, right? Their own practices.
Yeah, it can seem kind of overwhelming.
Do they all ultimately lead to the same place? Or maybe does one offer a more complete picture than others?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Today we're doing a deep dive into this, looking at a really powerful concept called unified perception of the divine. It's based on an ancient text, Srimad Bhagavatam 3.32.33.
A foundational text.
Right. And our mission really is to unpack this beautiful analogy the text uses. It explains how a single ultimate reality can be perceived, understood in various ways.
Kind of like how we perceive an object with our senses.
Exactly. Much like a single object reveals different qualities to our different senses. So we'll explore these different perceptions from the, well, purely material to the deeply spiritual, and discuss which approach, at least according to this source, leads to the most comprehensive understanding.
And it's fascinating because the text lays it out right there. A single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities.
Okay.
Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different.
Wow.
So right from the start, it's suggesting that maybe this diversity isn't conflict, but different angles, different views on the same thing. That's our first big takeaway, really.
That immediately gets you thinking differently, doesn't it? Okay, so let's unpack this analogy, something familiar. Imagine just a simple glass of milk.
Okay, milk. Got it.
If you only looked at it, what's the main thing you perceive?
Whiteness. It's color, right?
Yeah, it's whiteness. But what if you could only taste it? No sight, no smell, just taste.
Then you'd get the palatability, the sweetness, perhaps.
Right, and touch.
Coldness, maybe? Or warmth, depending.
And your nose?
Its flavor, that distinct milky smell. And, your ears might even hear someone call it milk. But the key thing here is that each sense, on its own, gives you only a partial quality, just a fragment.
Right.
No single sense, acting in isolation, gives you the whole picture of what milk actually is.
Okay.
And this illustrates beautifully how relying on just one limited way of perceiving things gives you a really incomplete view, a single facet of something that's actually multifaceted.
It's like knowing a car's painted red,
Yeah.
but having absolutely no idea if it runs, how it sounds, nothing else.
Exactly. You're missing huge parts of its essence.
So how do we get the full material picture then, using this milk example?
Well, that's where the mind comes in. The Vedic tradition often calls it the king of the senses.
The king, okay, why?
Because it doesn't just passively record these inputs, it integrates them. It puts them all together.
Oh, I see.
So the mind understands milk not just as white or just as sweet or cold. It forms a composite picture. Okay, the substance is giving pleasure, it's satisfying, it's white, sweet, cool, fragrant, and hey, people call it milk.
So it synthesizes everything.
Precisely. It forms a complete material picture by bringing all those partial perceptions together.
That really reminds me of that classic analogy from the Kaha Upanishad. You probably know it.
The chariot analogy.
Yeah. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body. Intelligence is the driver.
Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. Yeah, it's a great one.
And the mind's role there as the integrator, the one holding the reins and making sense of it all, it seems absolutely key for a complete understanding.
It is. Otherwise, like you said, the senses are just wild horses pulling you in all different directions. The mind brings coherence.
Okay, so that's the material perception side. Now, the text also offers another analogy, right, about proximity.
Yes, the hill analogy. It shows how perception changes as you get closer.
Okay, walk us through that. Imagine you're seeing a hill, but from really far away. What does it look like?
From a great distance, it might just seem like a formless cloud on the horizon, like an indistinct, blurry mass.
Just kind of hazy.
Exactly. And this, as we'll connect later, represents a very impersonal, sort of undifferentiated understanding of something.
Okay.
Now, if you move a bit closer, make a little progress towards it,
What happens then?
well, instead of just a vague cloud, you start to make out the actual shape of the hill. And maybe you notice something green, like trees or vegetation.
So more definition, but still not the full detail.
Right. It's a more localized view, a bit more defined, but still pretty incomplete. You don't see the individual trees or rocks yet.
Right, you're still missing the richness, the texture of it all.
Precisely. It's only when you actually, physically reach the hill, maybe walk on its paths,
Then you see everything.
then you see its many varieties, as the text says. The individual trees, the different kinds of rocks, maybe some wildlife, all the intricate details that make up its full, diverse reality.
Okay.
And this analogy is really crucial because it perfectly sets the stage for understanding how spiritual realization can also be partial or complete, depending on, well, how close you get and how you engage with it.
Okay, let's make that connection now. Bring these analogies, the milk, the hill, into the spiritual realm. How does this idea of partial perception, like seeing only the cloud or just the milk's whiteness, relate to how people perceive God or the divine?
Well, connecting this to the bigger spiritual picture, the text explains that people who pursue truth mainly through philosophical research, what's often termed jnana yoga.
Okay, the path of knowledge.
Right. They frequently realize the supreme Godhead primarily as the impersonal Brahman.
Impersonal Brahman. And that relates how?
That's likened to seeing only the white of the milk or perceiving the hill as just a distant cloud.
Ah, okay.
It's a genuine realization, it's valid, but it's considered partial from this perspective. It focuses on the Lord's all-pervading, formless aspect, often described as his dazzling effulgence, like a vast, brilliant spiritual light.
It sounds expansive, definitely awe-inspiring. Perceiving the divine as this, all-pervading light,
Right.
but you said not personal. What might someone feel is missing, even in that vastness? What's a sort of human yearning it maybe doesn't fully address?
That's a really insightful question because, there's a beautiful prayer in the Aishapanian, sometimes called the Golden Covering Prayer.
Okay.
It goes something like, "O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence.
Wow.
Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee."
So the light hides the face.
Exactly. It's like being surrounded, maybe even a bit blinded by this incredible, brilliant light, this effulgence, but missing the actual person, the distinct form behind it.
I see.
So while it's absolutely a profound spiritual realization, it's considered partial here because the personal face of the Lord, with all his specific qualities, his relationships, his activities, that remains hidden. It might satisfy the intellect's search for the ultimate ground of being, but maybe not the heart's deep desire for, connection, for relationship.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about other paths, like mystic yoga, that often focuses more internally, right?
Right. Practitioners of mystic yoga, often called Atoga yoga.
8 limbs.
Yes, that's the one. They might realize the supreme Godhead as the localized supersoul, the Paramatma, who resides within the heart of every living being.
Okay, inside the heart. How does that compare to the milk or the hill?
This is more like tasting the sweetness of the milk or seeing something green when you get a bit closer to the hill.
A specific quality or a closer view?
Exactly. It's a more intimate understanding than the vast impersonal Brahman because you're perceiving the Lord as present within you, as an indwelling witness, a guide.
Okay.
So yogis in deep meditation might even perceive a specific form, like a four-handed Vishnu form, within their heart. It's definitely more localized, more personal in a sense than the all-pervading light.
But still considered incomplete. Why?
Still incomplete from this viewpoint, yeah. Because the Supreme Lord's full personality, his original form, his interactive pastimes, his relationships, those remain unrevealed. The relationship is still largely one way, you could say, the yogi perceiving the supersoul within.
Okay, I'm following. So we have Brahman, the effulgence, like the distant cloud or the whiteness.
Yeah.
We have Paramatma, the super soul in the heart, like the closer green hill or the milk's sweetness. Valid experiences, but partial views.
According to this text, yes.
So what then is the complete picture? What's presented as the full realization? What's the key difference?
This is where devotional service, bhakti yoga, comes in, and it's uniquely compared to the mind in our milk analogy.
Ah, the integrator.
Exactly. Just as the mind integrates all the separate sensory inputs to give you a full understanding of the milk, bhakti is said to enable the perception of the absolute truth in his full and complete form.
Which is?
As Bhagavan, the supreme personality of Godhead, bhakti allows one to perceive all the qualities of the Lord, not just his effulgence or his presence in the heart, but also his unparalleled sweetness, his beauty, his personality, his interactions.
So like finally reaching the hill.
Precisely. Like actually reaching the hill and seeing all its many varieties. The trees, the rocks, the animals, the streams. The full, diverse, vibrant reality that makes it whole.
So the big difference here seems to be direct personal interaction.
Okay.
A two-way relationship, not just perception.
Absolutely, that's central. The sources emphasize that only bhakti yoga allows one to potentially see him face to face as the supreme person.
Face to face.
Yeah. And the Bhagavad Gita states this very clearly. One can understand me as I am, as the supreme personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. Bhaktimam Abhijanit.
Okay.
And this understanding isn't just intellectual. It enables you to revive your original eternal relationship with the Lord.
Relationship. In what way?
In one of many loving capacities, maybe like a friend or a parent or a servant or even a lover, it preserves your individual identity while engaging in this dynamic, loving exchange.
So you don't merge and disappear.
No, the analogy used is beautiful. It's like a bird entering a tree. The bird doesn't merge into the tree. It enters the tree to enjoy its fruits, to have an experience within the tree, distinct from it but connected to it.
That sounds, well, incredibly fulfilling. Moving beyond just knowing about God or sensing a presence to actually relating with God.
It's the essence of it.
So what does this practice, bhakti yoga, actually involve? What does someone do?
Primarily, it involves 9 main practices. They're essentially different ways to engage your senses and your mind in loving connection with the divine.
9 practices. Like what?
Things like hearing about the Lord, his glories, his pastimes, chanting his holy names, remembering him throughout the day, worshiping his form, offering prayers, actively serving him or his devotees, following his instructions, developing a friendship with him, and ultimately surrendering everything to him.
That sounds comprehensive.
It is. And the beauty, as the texts describe it, is that things like knowledge and detachment, which other paths work very hard to cultivate separately, they tend to develop automatically as a byproduct of bhakti.
Oh, interesting. You don't have to pursue them independently.
Not in the same way. Think of King Ambarya. He's a famous example in the scriptures.
Right.
He famously engaged all his senses in serving Krishna. His mind was meditating on Krishna, his speech was describing Krishna's glories, his hands were cleaning the temple, his ears were hearing about Krishna, his eyes were seeing the deity form, his tongue was tasting food offered to Krishna, his legs were walking to holy places, his head was bowing down. Even his desires were focused on serving.
Wow, every part of him.
Every part. There's a Sanskrit phrase that captures it perfectly. Hoke hokisasavana faktir uchate.
Which means?
Roughly. Engaging all your senses in serving the master of the senses, Hukesha, that is called bhakti. It's about bringing your whole self, every faculty, into that loving practice.
Okay, so if Bhagavan realization through bhakti is presented as the most complete, what does this mean for the hierarchy? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, are they like different gods or different levels? How does this source explain their relationship?
No, definitely not different gods. They're understood as different features or different degrees of realization of the same one absolute truth.
Okay, different features.
Yeah, you could almost think of it like different levels of zoom on reality. Brahman is the wide-angle view, the all-pervading spiritual light, the undifferentiated energy, vast but impersonal.
Right, the cloud.
Exactly. Then Paratma is a more localized view, the intimate presence within every heart, like seeing a specific lamp shining within each room. More personal, but still, localized within others.
Okay.
And Bhagavan is the full, close-up view, the distinct, complete personality of the divine, the source of both the light, Brahman, and the localized presence, Paramatma, like seeing the sun itself, the source of all light and warmth in all its glory.
So Bhagavan includes the other two.
That's the understanding. Lord Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, Brahman Hai Pratilam.
Okay.
This implies that Bhagavan is the comprehensive reality. The term used is Oga, the complete entity, the whole.
And Brahman and Paramatma.
They are considered awagas, or aspects, parts, limbs of that complete whole. Like the sunshine is an aspect dependent on the sun globe.
I see. So each is valid, each is real, but they build on each other, revealing more depth, leading ultimately to the full personal reality of Bhagavan.
That's the picture presented here, yes.
Okay, this leads to a really practical question for a lot of people on a spiritual path. What about all the other things? Good deeds, prescribed duties, charity, austerities, deep study of scriptures, controlling the mind.
Yeah, very important activities. Where do they fit in?
Exactly. If bhakti is presented as this complete path, does that mean those other things don't matter or are less valuable? How do the sources handle that?
That's a crucial point. The sources don't discard them at all. Instead, they stress that for these activities to really yield their highest spiritual fruit, their desired results, they must be mixed with the devotional service.
Mixed with bhakti.
Yes, the Sanskrit is Bhakti Ujjina Kaivahai, and certainly by Bhakti Yoga. The idea is that Any prescribed activity, whether it's charity or austerity or study, becomes truly spiritually potent when it's performed for the sake of the Supreme Person, with an attitude of love and service.
So it's about the motivation, the connection behind the act.
Precisely. Bhakti is seen as the main river flowing to the ocean of divine love. Other practices are like tributaries, valuable, beneficial, but they reach their ultimate destination most effectively when they flow into that main river.
Okay.
Without that element of loving devotion, the texts suggest neither philosophical speculation, jhana, nor mystic yoga can, by themselves, bring about that ultimate, complete satisfaction and relationship with Bhagavan.
So it's not about stopping those things, but elevating them, giving them their highest purpose.
Exactly.
This connects perfectly back to something you mentioned earlier from Srimad Bhagavatam about the highest purpose of human life.
Yes, savai pasapar dharma.
Right. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. It really frames it as the ultimate nourishment for the soul, that core part of us.
Yes, satisfying the Atma, the self, which is inherently spiritual and seeks that connection.
So let's bring this home for the listener. In today's world, I mean, it's such a diverse, sometimes confusing spiritual marketplace out there. How can this deep dive, this framework, help us navigate our own understanding, our own approach?
Well, for you listening, this analogy offers a really powerful lens. It helps make sense of why different traditions, different individuals might seem to be saying different things about God.
Right.
It suggests they might be perceiving valid, but perhaps partial aspects of the same ultimate truth. It explains why some paths emphasize an impersonal, formless absolute, while others focus intensely on a personal, loving God.
They're just seeing different features from different distances.
Kind of like that, yeah. Perceiving different features or approaching from different angles, just like with the hill. So it can foster, a greater appreciation for that diversity, perhaps, without necessarily diluting the focus of one's own chosen path.
And I think modern life often pushes us towards superficiality, fragmented understanding in so many areas.
Definitely.
This deep dive really underscores the importance, at least according to this source, of not settling for maybe partial truths or limited spiritual experiences when a complete, deeply satisfying realization is apparently possible.
Yeah.
Just like knowing only the color of the milk is incomplete without tasting it, smelling it, feeling it. The idea here is that spiritual understanding is incomplete without realizing the Supreme Person in all his aspects and, crucially, engaging with him.
And that comparison of bhakti to the mind, the integrator, highlights a really profound point for us personally, I think.
Which is
That a loving, personal relationship with the divine is presented as providing the most comprehensive and, importantly, the most relishable experience.
irreligible.
Yeah, full of rasa or spiritual flavor. And this resonates deeply, I think, with that universal human desire we all have for connection, for affection, for genuine personal fulfillment. It suggests that spiritual practice isn't meant to be just dryly intellectual or purely ascetic, but deeply personal, warm, and affectionate. It speaks to the heart's longing.
And practically speaking, it gives us a way forward. Instead of feeling like we have to discard maybe other disciplines, we practice meditation, charity, self-control, study.
Right.
They can actually be perfected, made more fruitful when we consciously infuse them with bhakti, with devotion.
Exactly. By dedicating those activities, whatever they are, to the Supreme Lord, you elevate them. You give them a deeper spiritual purpose.
So it provides a framework, really, for making your whole life more meaningful, turning even ordinary actions into spiritual practice.
That's the potential, yes. Which brings up another really important point, especially for our time.
Yeah.
The current age we live in, the Kali Yuga, is described in these texts as, well, spiritually challenging. An age of quarrel and hypocrisy where sustained, deep meditation or elaborate rituals are very difficult for most people.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right. But the scriptures offer a specific concession, a primary method for the sage. They say that the same spiritual result that was obtained in previous ages through, long meditation or huge, complex sacrifices or elaborate temple worship,
What about it?
that same result can now be obtained simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, particularly the Hare Krishna mantra.
Just by chanting.
The texts state it very clearly. Whatever result was obtained by other means in other ages in Kali Yuga can be obtained simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Wow.
It's presented as a kind of spiritual equalizer, a potent, accessible spiritual practice, like a powerful medicine specifically suited for the challenges of our time, making the highest realization potentially available to everyone, regardless of their external circumstances.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We've journeyed through these really insightful analogies. The milk, the hill, exploring how one single divine reality can be perceived differently, from different angles, through different paths.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen how, from this perspective, philosophical speculation, jhana, and mystic yoga offer valuable but partial glimpses.
Realizing Brahman and Paramatma.
Right. But that ultimately, devotional service, bhakti yoga, aimed at understanding and relating with Bhagavan, the Supreme Person, is presented as leading to the most complete, the most integrated, and the most fulfilling understanding.
And just to leave you with something really provocative to think about, something from the sources,
Okay.
they state that even the pleasure derived from realizing the impersonal Brahman, which is described as vast, unlimited spiritual bliss, even that can be surpassed
Past.
by the pleasure experienced in bhakti. And it goes further. To a devotee, someone who has actually tasted the dynamic sweetness of exchanging loving service with the Lord, that unlimited Brahman pleasure, by comparison, can sometimes appear to be hellish.
Whoa, hellish. That sounds extreme.
It's not meant literally as bad, but rather, imagine being in a vast, beautiful, peaceful, but ultimately empty room when you know there's a vibrant, loving relationship waiting just outside. For one who has tasted that relationship, the empty room, however blissful in itself, feels lacking, almost unbearable by comparison because it misses that dynamic personal interaction.
Ah, I see. It's the contrast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hellish only in the sense that it lacks that vibrant, fulfilling, ever-increasing personal exchange that they've discovered in bhakti. So the question this leaves for you, for your own spiritual journey, is perhaps, what does it mean to seek not just unlimitedness or peace, but an even higher, more intimate, dynamic, personal connection with the divine?
That is definitely something to reflect on. This deep dive really encourages you, the listener, to consider not just, any spiritual path, but perhaps the path that, according to the ancient texts, promises the most complete, the most dynamic, and the most direct relationship with the divine source of everything. We really hope this has given you something truly profound to mull over, to think about, and maybe to explore further on your own journey.